my recent Behringer acquisitions has arrived. I've had the RD8, the K2 and now the Odyssey. And the first thing you notice is how massive the box is. So compare that to the size of the K2 box. So we're looking at a full-size synth here, which is really good. So let's see what's in the box. I think I'll slide this out sideways rather than trying to pull it out on the top. It's quite big. It's quite big, it's quite hefty. And I almost knocked the camera over there trying to get that out. So we've got this sort of cloth bag, and then we reveal, and here we have it. Who'd have thought it'd be such hard work unboxing a synth on camera? Well, there you go. So initial first impressions are, again, it's metal, it's weighty. It doesn't replicate the original Odyssey. It's got Clark Technic effects. It's got a sequencer. So on the back, we've got power. We've got an LED brightness, MIDI in and out and 5-pin DIN. USB, which I'm assuming is MIDI as well. Pedal, foot switch, outputs high and low, balanced high, which is great. An external audio input, headphones on a separate headphone level. And then a few CVs, CV in, CV out, gate in, trig in and trig out. So all looking very hopeful so far. So before we get into anything, I would just like to show you this. That's an old Pro 1. We're in the right ballpark as far as size goes, I think. Here's an Arturia Mini Brute. That's got full-size keys as well. So get an idea of the scale of it. And while I've got this out, please, Behringer, bring the Pro 1 out. I'd love to have a play with it against this. So I hope that was of some use to somebody somewhere. And I'll see you next time. So let's turn it on. For a change, I've got a UK plug here. Both of my other Behringers have come with European adapters. So yeah, it is a small sort of wall wart, which everything seems to come with these days. And the one thing I'll say instantly is that's quite short. That to get that from the top of my keyboard stand, that's the total length of it is sort of corner to corner and back. To get that on the top of the keyboard stand to the plug socket is virtually impossible. I found it with the K2 as well. I just wish the leads were a little bit longer. Okay, so all plugged in. I know it sounds like being picky looking at the length of the leads, but an extra 50p or an extra £1 or two, I mean, such good value, but that was a real pain trying to actually get that plugged in and get different extensions out. Anyway, all plugged in. Let's turn it on. A little bit of flashing, Clark Technic, and it comes up with Church. Obviously, has some sort of hall reverb. I've plugged in a sort of standard unbalanced TR cable. I'm going to plug in a balanced as well, but you do need the 3 pins. And that's just so I can test the different levels out of each of the outputs. And let's turn these LEDs up. It's quite bright in here at the minute, but they're pretty funky, lovely bright white lights. Okay, so no sounds. We've got VCO1 turned up. We've got the ADSR on gate, so that should just come on and off. Let's have a look then. VCO1, frequency is down at sort of virtually 0 and on low frequency mode. So let's put it onto audio frequency, audio rate. Let's turn the cutoff up. And just turning the VCA gain up. Yeah, there you go, you should get some sound. But when I turn the VCA down, there's nothing happening. so maybe add, add a bit of the ADSR or the AR to it. So you can hear on that sound we've got a pitch drop at the release phase. So let's just look at what's causing that. And I don't know if you can see there, but this is just slightly nudged up, this ADSR on VCO1. So let's just nudge that down, nudge everything else down. Square wave. Sawtooth. Let's take a listen to VCO2 then. Let's stick that on a saw, turn it up. Frequency is not changing anything except for the harmonics because it's got sync on. Let's take sync off. And the square. It's all working. So let's try a little bit of PWM on VCO1. So let's turn the pulse width modulation up. Put it on LFO1. And just put the tune in a little bit better. So we're getting somewhere here, aren't we? It's not been on for long, and I noticed that frequency of VCO2's slightly out with VCO1 to get them bang on. Let's take pulse width off. But that is part of the joy of the Odyssey, is trying to get these tuned together, because you've got this coarse frequency and then the fine frequency. That sort of looks a bit better on those two now, but it's a pity it's so bright in here, because these do look great. I might turn them down a bit, it might be easier for you to see what's happening. So looking at the levels going into the Apollo, I thought, oh, turn it down a bit, where's the volume knob? And of course, there isn't a volume knob. You can use this. Or you can turn the VCOs down a bit. And this is going through the high output. So once you've got the high output in, nothing's coming out of the low output. So let's just take the high output out and see what happens. So the low output's a lot lower, isn't it? So you'd really want to be using the balanced output. Whoa. So let's just turn that down. So yeah, there's a huge difference in levels there. So if you're purchasing one of these, I would highly recommend getting a balanced cable. Something that looks like this on one end and a TRS, so like a stereo on the other. Otherwise you're going to be getting some seriously low levels, which are good for sticking it into a guitar amp, for example, but not necessarily for into your mixer. So we'll use the high level for the remainder of this. Okay, looked at a bit of VCO1 and VCO2, not looked at any modulation yet. So let's take a look at the filters. We've got a low pass and we've got a high pass. The low pass has got 3 different modes. It's got 1 2-pole and 2 4-poles, and they're the variations from the different revisions of the original Odyssey. And then we've got a high pass. Also got a drive circuit. Let's take that off for now. Let's just stick VCO1 on a sawtooth and let's have a little play with the low pass. Nothing really interesting there, is there, until you stick the resonance on. And then it goes into self-oscillation. Okay, watch your ears again. It's a lovely rumble, that, isn't it? Put some headphones on if you haven't got any on, or get some good speakers out, because that's lovely. And before anyone mentions about stepping, it's not stepping when you hear those frequencies being pulled out. It's merely the cutoff frequency hitting the actual peaks that you've got in the sawtooth already. So I'm moving this as smoothly as I can, and it's not stepping, it's just pulling out those frequencies. Let's try again. But it doesn't do it at the low end because there aren't any frequencies from the sawtooth that low. There's nothing below 250 there, is there? So when it's self-oscillating, it's playing itself. It's got nothing to do with the sawtooth, which is why at the low end it feels really smooth, and as you get higher up it starts picking out those frequencies. Let's move to the 4-pole number 1. Really boring. Let's stick the resonance up. So all it seems to be doing at the minute is reducing the volume of the whole thing until it self-oscillates at about probably 95%. So there's hardly any movement left in that. But let's have a listen to it on 100%. All around there's lovely, all those sort of crackles and things. There's a nice one. 2-pole on the same settings. 4-pole 1. 4-pole 2. Let's have a listen to 4-pole number 2 then. I'll just do this for the sake of it, really. Yeah, sounds like a low pass. So let's have a listen to the resonance. This is more like it. I'm actually getting some sort of feedback, not feedback from the resonance, but it's doing something about 30-40%. Or lower, even 25% really. Let's knock that up to full. So your full self-resonance on that is around 12 kilohertz. Coming up to 20 on 4-pole number 1. And the same on the 2-pole. So let's just sweep that down. And again, I'm moving that as smoothly as I can, and it's not stepping, it's just the harmonics popping out. Let's just compare them. That's 4-pole number 2, 4-pole number 1, and 2-pole. Two-pole, 4-pole number 1. So we've got 3 distinct characters, and they are quite characterful, I think. So should we try those with the drive, see what the drive does? So it definitely boosts the gain, doesn't it? Let's knock it down a little. So on the 2-pole, 4-pole 1, and 4-pole 2. Let's just try it straight. And looking at the oscilloscope there, it's changing the shape of the sawtooth slightly, isn't it? Or maybe not, maybe it's just boosting it. Let's try it on a square. Again, I'm not sure it's adding any different sort of harmonics to it or changing the shape of the actual VCO, but it is adding a lot of boost. So if you've only got a single TR cable, maybe just stick drive on. Maybe it sounds a bit. Let's try it. Let's try it with 2 VCOs in there, shall we? So this is 2 squares. I'll put sync on so it stops moving. It's really difficult to get them tuned exactly in tune with each other. Now let's try sticking the drive on. I think it's just giving it a boost. I can't hear any, but then I'm not playing it. It's not playing the sequencer. I've not tuned a particular patch. So quickly, let's look at the high pass. Sounds a little scratchy, that. I don't know if it's built-in scratchiness, but let's try this. 2 octaves up and 2 octaves down. So okay, let's just knock it down. I was seeing if you could do 1 octave, but you can't. It's either 2 octaves up or 2 octaves down, just like the sign says. Okay. So we've got some lower frequencies in there. Let's try and use the high pass with some real low frequencies. Yeah, it's all right. So there's some movement over 50%, but it doesn't really do much until the sort of until you're up in the higher regions as well. So I don't want to say it's doing anything wrong. It's just not doing what I'd expect. And it might be really true to the original Odyssey that does the same. I don't know. I suspect it probably is. Okay, let's have a little play with the LFO then. So let's modulate oscillator 1 with the LFO, and you can do it on a square or a sine. Let's try it with a square to start. And a sine. Okay, let's see how fast it goes. So it's not particularly fast, 20 Hz it says here, so that's quite slow. That's Odysseys for you. So I'm just checking here that we've got the ADSR, just something odd I've noticed with the envelope. Again, might be an Odyssey thing, but... So sustain's on full, so it'll hold forever. If I pull this down mid-note, disappears as you'd expect, but I'd expect the volume would come back up when I push sustain up again. But it doesn't do that. So just one of the little tricks of the Odyssey there, where you've got the LFO repeating the ADSR. Let's have a look at the sample and hold circuit then. Let's put sample and hold on VCO1. VCO1's up, sample and hold's up here. Got that on noise generation. LFO trig, so it'll re-trigger the sample and hold with the LFO. If you have it on keyboard trigger. And then it's got a lag to sort of smooth out those peaks. Let's try a bit of sample and hold on VCO2 then. VCO2, we've got the option of sample and hold on the FM here, so switch that to sample and hold, turn it up. Then the sample and hold mixer, we've got VCO1. Let's listen to VCO2 while we do this, shall we? So that's FM using this sample and hold mixer. So the amount of FM is controlled by this, and the frequency of the FM is controlled by VCO1. But you also have this in a low frequency mode where the keyboard's off, so the keyboard doesn't link to the actual VCO. So now we're on VCO1. VCO1's going slowly on a ramp. Or on a square. Output lag doesn't work on that. So it's got sort of incredibly flexible, isn't it? Using the noise generator as the control for the sample and hold, you get completely random. But you can also use VCO2 square wave. And it's less random, isn't it? Because it's taking the top or the bottom of the pulse, and sometimes you get a little bit in between. We can modulate the filter with a sample and hold circuit, so... No VCOs playing there, it's just the self-resonance of the frequency being controlled by the sample and hold circuit. And you control the filter again with the ADSR or the AR circuits. So incredibly fast, that just a tiny click. And you can use the ADSR generator or the AR generator. So you have two envelopes on this. One's simpler than the other. So using the ADSR, for example, and then we'll flick to the AR. So the cut-off's gradually coming in, although the sound's coming in instantly. Okay, let's take a look at the effects then. It says church here. I'm assuming that's a church hall. So turn it on. Program. So concert 1, concert 2. So it's flashing. Push it. Digiverb. So let's go into one of these. Let's go back into church. Click to get it. Parameter 1, decay. There you go. I've just knocked that up from 1 second to 4.68 seconds. Let's try a room. Add a bit of decay. Okay, what else? We've got spring reverb. Parameter 2, pre-delay on this. So you've got 3 parameters. So you've got parameter 1 and 2 on this button, and parameter 3 and tap on the second button. So parameter 3, type, we've got vintage. So it's a couple of types there. So it's quite basic actually, but I'm just waiting for it to come out of the adjustment mode. Back to spring, so we've got a reverse, a delay, ambience, early reflection, chorus, flanger, phaser, Pam, tremolo, detune, pitch 1. What's the other pitch 2 is? Okay, adds a separate pitch, delay and chorus, delay and reverb, talk box. Maybe it does something if you're using external in on that. Don't know. Phaser, should we try phaser? So quite basic, but that's all you sort of want with something like this, especially if you're trying to go from patch to patch. If you're playing live, you've got to tweak all this and then go into your effects as well. But does the job well. Let's try a delay. Feedback, let's up that. Parameter 2 is mode, so you've got mono. Spread, ping pong. Although if it's only mono out, I'm not sure how it's ping ponging, unless I've got that wrong. I've not read the manual yet. Maybe the balanced out does stereo or something, I don't know. Ambience. Let's go back into delay again then. The only annoying thing is you've got to wait for it to go back to the type of effect. It's got tempo and mode, and the mode can have ping pong, spread, mono. Yeah. Then you've got the send knob here. So it's a good little addition, if not the most sort of flexible effects unit. It's good to have it there. Let's just try Clipper. Nice. It's got some balls, that, hasn't it? Really nice, that. Right, let's try just the ring mod, see what that does. So we've got noise and ring mod. Definitely characterful, isn't it? So we're playing around with the sync then. Let's just try the sync on and off. Let's see what we get to with that. Let's try and tune it a bit better again. Oh, it just sounds like an Odyssey. That's just really peculiar. Just Odyssey's type sounds are falling out of it. So yeah, let's try sync. Just modulating with the LFO there. Let's modulate it with the ADSR then. I am really liking the sound of it as I start to sort of play with it. I'm sort of dreading taking a look at the sequencer in case I can't use it. So we just see how easy it is to set up. So play and stop there. Let's see what that does. Always find it's best to read manuals to make stuff like that. Although other people don't like it when I read manuals online, so or on video. There's a record button here. Let's see what that does. Maybe it records. Just having another little dig into the sequencer. That was a 9-note pattern. Using this key, I can go to the different pages. So you've got 8 steps. It's got 32 steps in each pattern. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is pattern 1. Pattern 2 have now got rid of the 9th note by Shift, set end, and then 8. So now we have, if we play it, and it'll follow as you play different keys. You can add some swing. And as you heard, that goes all the way from 0 to a maximum. 0 sort of cutting out half the notes. So it's quite flexible. It's not as flexible as something like the Sub 37. You can add holds and rests and accents. It's also got an arpeggiator mode. So let's go to the ARP mode. Pressing Shift and keyboard puts it back on the keyboard. I was in step mode, I think. So arpeggiator on. Playing 2 octaves up. I don't know if you can change that. Let's see. That's playing down now. So okay, so let's go to different locations of these different arpeggiator patterns. So you got 1 octave. So that's 1 octave up is number 1. Yeah, so that's 1 octave up, 1 octave down. 1 octave as pressed. No idea what that is. I've just got no idea at all. So there we've got straight up 2 octaves, straight down 2 octaves, that's going from much lower, it's going from an octave lower rather than an octave higher. And that's the octave lower going down. Wonder if there's any sort of extra banks on them. No, shift and bank should show me the bank. So there's different arpeggiator modes. Although it says hold there's no latch mode that I can find. Whoa, there was an accent. It's a shame there's no hold mode on it. Maybe that's something that could be a couple of different button pushes in an update. Great addition though to the Odyssey. Got portamento. We've got what would be a modulation wheel, I suppose. I know they're what you had on the original Odyssey, but I'd rather it just had standard wheels, to be honest. I think there's a reason why most synths don't have these daft pads anymore, but I suppose in the interest of historical replication. So overall, sort of really impressed so far. You know, it feels like a proper instrument. And I've been playing with it for a while now, and I'm enjoying playing with it. I'm sitting here just getting into it and having lots of fun, which speaks volumes. I think the effects are great. They're sort of simple and easy to use, but they're good, really good quality. My only gripe would be good to have an exit button so that you could move through them quickly if you're not finding the right sound. The sequencer, I'm not sure how to use it properly, but I am getting to grips with it and discovering things, but it's really trial and error. So when the manual comes out, that'll be really useful. But you know, you can do things like shift things around, add holds and rests. A few of the sounds that I'll put at the end of this video, I'll make use of it. It's really nice, just tweaking the parameters as the sequencer's playing. You know, you can sit there for hours doing it. So yeah, I'm very impressed by this, especially for the price of, it's 399 British pounds, whatever that is around the rest of the world. I think they're a little bit more in the States, the Behringer things, but you know, really, really impressed by it. But there is an elephant in the room with this, isn't there? And that's the Korg. Korg have already produced, as they had with the MS-20, they've already produced an Odyssey. So I can't leave it here, as you might expect, anyone that's seen this channel before. So we have, what could this be? Oh, it's a Korg Odyssey. So this will be being unboxed, played with and compared with the Behringer, which will be really interesting. Really looking forward to doing that. So watch this space. But for now, you know, I've been playing with this all day and I've really enjoyed myself. Sounds like my cats are crying for me to get back to them. So until next time, I hope that was of some use to somebody somewhere.